Hello, everyone. Cecil Martin here.
Hey, this is Hunter Henry.
What's up, man? This is Max Crosby, part of Raider Nation.
Hey, this is Ross Tucker, former NFL offensive lineman.
Hey, it's Tyler Lockett of the Seattle Seahawks.
Hey, this is Jerry Judy, wide receiver for the Denver Broncos, and you're listening to the 14-Yard NFL Podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Full 10 Yards NFL podcast. This is our Week 15 preview, and this is our first taste of Saturday football we've got of the year. And it's also our first full slate since Week 4 as well. It's been a long time coming. And joining me to break down all of the key games on UK TV this week is Mr. Owen Cawdell, stepping in at the last minute for Liam Horsley, who unfortunately couldn't make the podcast. You're the last minute sub, mate. How are you doing? Great to have you on. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, hi mate. Yeah, it was a bit of a shock getting a notice. Can you do it? I was like, yeah, go on then. But no, it's a pleasure to be here, mate. Great slate look ahead, to be fair.
Awesome. We've got lots to get through. Starting with Thursday Night Football, where we finally saw the end of not only Brandon Staley but also Tom Telesco as GM for the Chargers. After the Raiders sent the Chargers home packing in the first half, scoring 42 points on the way to a 63-12 win on Thursday Night Football. I've been calling it for ages. They really need a complete change from top to bottom. I'd probably fire Kellen Moore too, if I'm being honest. This offense has just been horrific. They just need complete change. They've been fired in the last hour or so the news is still very fresh. But initial thoughts, Owen?
I think it's the right call, definitely. They very rarely make mid-season changes to the Chargers, but I think they had to after that absolute devastation of a night last night. And the big thing is not only Staley gone, but Telesco gone as well. I mean, without Herbert and Keenan Allen last night, it was always going to be a struggle for the Chargers, but I don't think anyone expected, what was it, 43-0 at one point?
Yeah, mental, yeah. 42 points, 42-0 at half-time, which is just horrific.
That's awful. But,
go on.
Oh, no, it's all right. You go.
Well, I was going to say, I've defended his defence a lot this year because I don't think Staley's defence has really been a problem. This team just hit self-destruct mode in the last couple of weeks, especially after Justin Herbert was confirmed to be out for the year. They're up 9 touchdowns in this game, 6 in the first half, on their way to a scorigami as well. So of course, it was a scorigami. We've never seen 63-12 before, have we? When putting together the running order for this week, I wasn't really going to talk about this game very much at all because, I didn't imagine that we'd have 84 points in one game and 12 total touchdowns. That's mental. And the Raiders weren't exactly outstanding offensively either. The Chargers just kept giving them ball back to them. They turned the ball over 5 times, and they just allowed Aiden O'Connell to do an excellent job at just dishing up a cavalry. I think it was, great stuff for the Raiders, I guess. I mean, it's not really about this year. Obviously, you're basically already out the playoff running at 6 and 8. It's more just, building up for next year with a new coach. For the Chargers, it's just horrific, wasn't it?
Well, especially because they failed to score any points on Sunday. And they're coming into this Thursday night game, and there was a lot of question marks over their head, and they put up 9 touchdowns in this score. Like, it's a good achievement for the Raiders. Don't go this Chargers lineup, which are just something had to give. I went into the game with a bad feeling for Chargers fans, and I didn't expect it to be that bad, but God, it was a car crash.
Yeah, it really, really was. Right, we'll get on to the Saturday games first. We'll go for the 2 earlier ones before going on to the primetime game. We'll start in Cincinnati, which is the first of 3 games that all have playoff implications on Saturday, which is awesome. Both the Vikings and Bengals have come off wins. The Bengals looking the most convincing last week, but a win is a win for Minnesota, even if it was a 3-0 win, especially if all the other 6-6 teams losing last week as well. They have made a change at QB with Nick Mullins earning the start after his game-winning drive last week, and Josh Dobbs been demoted to third-string QB behind Jaron Hall, which is a bit interesting. And the Bengals, on the other hand, have looked pretty good with Jake Browning at QB, as obviously filling in for Joe Burrow, way better than I thought they would after Burrow went down for the year. Especially. They're at home too, so give me the Bengals to win this game, but I do think the Vikings will keep it close, especially if Justin Jefferson is back like he's expected to be in this one.
I mean, it's an electric quarterback matchup, isn't it? Browning versus Mullins. I think at the start of the season, you look at this game and you look at what would have been the playoff implications, and you think, great, it's Joe Burrow versus Kirk Cousins, big one. It just fails to get me excited, really. I mean, if Justin Jefferson's back, I think the Vikings look good. But the Vikings are coming back off the back of that 3-0 win against the Raiders, which was genuinely one of the worst games of football I've ever seen. But I think I'm going to have to agree with you. It's going to come down to the barest margins, but I'm going to take the Bengals.
Awesome. Right, Owen, can you do me a favour?
Mm-hmm.
Can you clap? Because your video is so out of time with your voice. You're like 30 seconds behind video-wise. So I'm going to obviously have to edit it back and make sure that your video's timed up.
Do you want to just restart, mate? Do you want to just restart?
No, because I can edit it back. It's fine. I just need you to clap so I can match the audio file with the video. Right. Okay, thanks for that, mate. We'll go over to Indianapolis now, where the Colts are favourites in this one. It's a second game with playoff implications with two backup QBs, actually. But with the amount of QB injuries we've had this year, it's just a normal, unfortunately. It's just a norm. This one is a 6 seed against a 7 seed in the AFC currently. So this game is just so big because whoever wins this one stands a terrific chance of reaching the postseason. It'll be Mitch Trubisky against Gardner Minshew, with Kenny Pickett still not recovered from his ankle surgery. The Colts were hoping to get Jonathan Taylor back for this one after they struggled on offense against the Bengals last week, but unfortunately he will not play, and the run game was especially bad in that game too. Normally, I'd pick Mike Tomlin in a game like this, especially off a Thursday night game having extra rest, but God, the Steelers were awful against New England, so it just makes it difficult. It makes it a difficult one to pick. Taylor being out probably edges me towards the Steelers anyway, so I'm going to go for them. But I'm interested to see how Gardner Minshew handles the pressure from TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith, who are both back for this game as well, but from concussions. So yeah, give me the Steelers, but I'm not confident about it.
Yeah, I agree. I think what you said about quarterbacks is true, and this game is actually huge. You look at it on paper, it doesn't really excite you, but it is huge for the rest of the season and playoffs-wise. I mean, the Steelers lost to the Patriots last week, and they were awful. They were very, very bad. And the Gardner Minshew's sort of settling in. Well, he's been around for, been starting quarterback for some time now. And he seems to pop up in certain spots, and I think he might pop up in this spot. And I think Minshew mania runs wild. Yes, he's got a horrific defense running at him, like a crazy one, but crazy good wise. But I think I'm going to take the Colts. I think Gardner Minshew gets it done.
Awesome. Okay, we'll go over to our first featured game then between the Broncos and the Lions. It's in Detroit, and the Lions are 4.5-point favourites. Obviously, it's a Saturday night game between two teams that are trending in completely different directions. It's the first of 3 primetime games this week with playoff implications as well. They're all brilliant. And the Broncos have won 6 of their last 7 after starting 1-5 and are playing some of the most complimentary football after a horrendous start to the season. And on the other hand, the Lions have started the season so well, but they just haven't looked convincing recently at all. Probably since their big loss to Baltimore in Week 7, if I'm being honest. And they've lost 2 games recently to division rivals Bears and Packers. I don't know about you, Owen, but I'm really excited for this one because, I think we're going to learn a lot about both teams, aren't we?
Yeah, it's a great matchup. I mean, as you said, they're both trending in different directions, and Goff had a horror game last week, but it's Jared Goff at the end of the day. And this, we said on this podcast many times that we're waiting for this Denver marriage to sort of click between Sean Payton and Russell Wilson, and it well and truly has. They've looked great. I think Denver fans are loving life at the moment, and it's going to go down as a big game. And I love these Saturday games because it means we get 3 great primetime matchups. But it's a hard one to call, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. The problem for the Lions has been their defense. They're 25th in opponent. So but offensive points per game allowed, and they're trending backwards. They're allowing 27.3 offensive points per game in the last 3 games as well, which just meant us quite a lot. It's 4 scores a game, and it'll be interesting to see who wins the battle between them and the Denver offense, who are quite efficient, not scoring many points, but they're very good at getting points when they need to. All Lions games are shootouts, whereas most of Denver's wins have come with dominating on defense and scoring enough on offense. So that's what just makes this game so interesting. And that sort of brings us nicely onto the Lions offense. That is still a top 10 offense, but it's struggled by their standards recently going up against the Denver defense, that because their early struggles still sit quite low in a lot of numbers, but they've been brilliantly recently. Since they lost to the Jets in Week 5, they've only allowed 16 points per game, which is just some turnaround, isn't it, Owen?
Oh, completely. I don't think anyone really expected it either. It was sort of out of the blue, and it's been some turnaround. They've put away some good teams in their little run. I mean, they won 5 straight, and they did drop a loss, but at the end of the day, they're looking like they could get playoffs. And if they do, they're one of them teams you don't really want to play in the playoffs because they have nothing to lose. They didn't really seem at the start of the season like they would have playoff intentions. And that's what's scary about this team.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, like I said, I'm just fascinated to see what happens between that battle on offense because, yeah, the Lions scored loads of points, but not as much recently. And obviously the Broncos defense is trending up. So that it's just brilliant. It makes this game so difficult to call, as you say. I'm going to go for Denver, though. I think a bit of an upset with being in Detroit, but they don't exactly fill me with confidence at the minute, if I'm being honest with you. You know, win this game, and I think Denver will probably have 1 foot in the postseason too, with New England and the Chargers at home, and then going into the Raiders in the remaining 3 games. So win this game, the Broncos are firmly in the playoffs, I think, in my opinion, and I think they're going to do it. What about you?
I agree. If they win, they're firmly in the playoffs, but I think Ford Field is a huge factor in this sort of game. And I think Detroit do get it done. And I think it will be tight. And it will come down to a last drive of the game sort of thing. But I'm going to take Detroit. I back Dan Campbell. I back Jared Goff in a big spot. And I'm going to take Detroit.
Interesting. Right, okay, we'll go over to Sunday now, and we'll whip through the 6 p.m. slate because it's not very good at all, if I'm being honest. The game Sky have gone for in a pretty horrific early window is the Bucks going into Green Bay, and I thought it'd be either this one or Dolphins Jets, but I think this one probably has a little bit more going for it because both teams would be in the playoffs if they started today. Somehow both at 6 and 7, which is just mental. The Bucks go into Green Bay after a huge win in Atlanta that saw them claim the lead of the NFC South, but weren't great at all. And Green Bay was shocked by the Giants on Monday Night Football and looked more like their early season self in that game than the team that won 4 in 5 heading into it, which makes it difficult to pick. I'm going to go for Green Bay because it's at Lambeau. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. There's obviously quite a big home field advantage, which we'll get into for another big home field advantage getting into the podcast later. But I think it'll be close, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Bucks do pull it off. So I would bet them to cover because it's quite a big spread here for the Packers that they're favoured by. And also the Bucks being without Chris Godwin doesn't really fill me with confidence either. So yeah, give me the Packers in this one.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, missing Chris Godwin is huge for this Tampa Bay offense, and they have been looking okay when Mike Evans puts gloves on. They're looking all right so far this season. I think, as you said, Lambeau is huge, and Green Bay don't feel with confidence. Neither do Tampa Bay. It's not this 6 p.m. slate is not anything to get excited about, but I think this game will be featured a lot on Red Zone on Sunday because I think it will be quite a high scoring maybe affair. But I agree. I'm going to take Green Bay. I think Bucks continue to fall down, I think, later on in the season. And after that, four wins and 5, I think that will be their highlight of the season. And I think it will go down from here. So I'm going to take the Packers.
Awesome. Right, we'll stay in the NFC South and go to Atlanta, Carolina. They're both in the NFC South. The Falcons go to Carolina, looking to get back to winning ways after losing the lead of the NFC South last week in that loss to Tampa Bay. Regardless of the Tampa Bay result, they will go back to the top of the division with a win over Carolina, as they will have a better in-division record. So win this, and the Falcons are top straight away. But yeah, if the Bucks win, then obviously they'll be pretty close either way. The Panthers' defense has been better lately, and I do think this will be a close one. The Falcons are favored by 3.5 points, but I think their offense will probably prevent them from winning this game. I think that it's just been horrific, hasn't it? Really for Bryce and co. So I think they're gonna lose a third division loss in a row, game in a row. Unfortunately for the Panthers.
Yeah, I mean, this NFC South race is kind of exciting. It's really good. I think Atlanta go back to the top. I don't think Carolina win this. They're sitting 1-12 on the season. As you said, it's been a disaster season for them. No one really expected much from them, but I don't think anyone expected them to look this bad. And yeah, I mean, Atlanta beat them on paper in most of the positional matchups, and that's why I'm going to take Atlanta to come through and win.
Okay. Right, we'll go over to a game that I'm really looking forward to now, which I didn't think I'd be saying a few weeks ago, between the Bears and the Browns. That's because Joe Flacco is playing so well at the minute, which is someone who obviously grew up watching that Ravens team is so awesome to see. And the Bears have won 3 of the last 4. They probably should have won all 4 as well, unfortunately losing that first game against the Lions, and have just won 2 games in a row for the first time since Matt Eberflus took charge. Justin Fields will be on for a career year. Halley stayed healthy this year as well. He's been excellent the last couple of weeks. He was really, really good last week. And they've had a much more creative offense recently as well. So I'm going to go for a Bears upset over the Browns. The Browns being injured, obviously. They've got quite a few injuries and they're getting more and more as they go on. We don't know who's going to start a running back this week because there's a lot of running backs that are limited as well. So yeah, just give me Chicago to win this one. I just got a feeling they're gonna do something, and if they win this as well, they're firmly in the playoff hunt, which is mental. I don't think we were saying that about a month ago, would we?
Not at all, and it's one of them gut feeling ones for you, eh? But for me, I mean, I'm loving this Joe Flacco little thing. I think he's one of the greatest storylines of this year. He is my childhood watching him ball out for the Ravens, so it's quite nice to see him doing well. And I mean, this Chicago team, Justin Fields is sort of fighting for his role here because they have high picks and he's doing really well in a big spot. And I'm not sure how this one's going to go, but I think I'm going to take Cleveland. I think Joe Flacco continues to roll on, which is, if you told me I'm going to say that sentence at the start of the year, I would have gone, no way. I'm going to take Joe Flacco to continue rolling on. I'm going to take Cleveland. I'm not sure about the spread. I mean, it's not a bad spread, but like this game could go either way. It's just, as for you said, a gut feeling. It's a gut feeling for me to take this Cleveland, especially because of their defense, mainly because Myles Garrett is Myles Garrett. But I'm going to take Cleveland to win this one.
Yeah, we'll see how much of an impact he can make because obviously he's been hurt recently. So, yeah, big game in this one, and I think he's well on his way to Defensive Player of the Year. Right, we'll go to Miami now, where suddenly after the shock loss to the Titans, they need to beat the Jets in this game on Sunday to not sweat about being pipped to their first AFC East title since 2008. The Jets ended their 5-game losing streak on Sunday with a big win over the Texans, where Zach Wilson looked pretty decent in what may be his last chance as a starting quarterback of the Jets. Yeah, give me Miami to win this one, but I think the Jets will cover. It's quite a big spread. I don't like that at all. It's too big. You know, the Jets defense can slow down anyone. We've seen that all year, and especially against a very injured Miami offensive line. And we still don't know if Tyreek Hill will play either. He did come back into the game on Monday, but he's not practiced at all this week, which is not filling me with much confidence there. You know, he's a veteran player, so maybe he will suit up. We see that with a lot of players, especially a lot of receivers that they won't practice all week and we'll suit up on Sunday. But yeah, it's just all the uncertainty doesn't really fill me with confidence with Miami. I'm going to pick them to win, but I think this will be a very, very, very close one. And you know, Nance and Romo on this one as well. This will be very interesting, I think.
Completely. I mean, it's suddenly a huge game for Miami season, which I think no one expected.
Win it and they're fine. It's just if they lose, Buffalo are suddenly a little bit there now.
Breathing down their neck, yeah. I mean, it was a tough loss to Tennessee and it was an unexpected one, but this Jets offense is garbage. And even though Miami's offensive line is quickly turning into Swiss cheese because of the amount of injuries they've had, it is still the Miami offense. And if they're without Tyreek Hill, I would think about taking the Jets, but I do think Tyreek Hill plays. I'd stay well clear of this spread. This spread is horrible. I'd stay way clear of it. But I'm going to take Miami to win. I think it's going to be a good little matchup in terms of defense versus offense, with Miami on offense, obviously. But Zach Wilson, as you said, this might be one of his last chances, and I think it will be. I mean, I love watching him play because you never know what's going to happen, but he continues to have those ups and downs. But I'm going to take Miami, and I think they move on to go 10-4 on the season.
Yeah, Vic Fangio's defense was terrible against the Titans on a Monday night as well. So this is a big game for Fangio. You know, if you can frustrate Zach Wilson, force a couple of turnovers, or stop the run especially as well with Brees Hall, then that's how you beat the Jets team. Even if you don't really have much of an offense, I think it'll be low scoring. But yeah, just take Miami. But I'm not very confident in it. Okay, we'll go over to New England now, where the Chiefs head into Foxborough for the first game ever to be flexed out of Monday Night Football, which seems weird for a game between Bill Belichick and Andy Reid. But this horrific Patriots team has been on prime time a lot this year, and the country are fed up of them, really. However, this game has had some spiciness added in to it this week with the report that apparently Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick have agreed to part ways at the end of the season. It's not been verified, but it has been in a lot of outlets recently, which just makes it a little bit spicy. Maybe Belichick wants to go win this game, but I can't see the Chiefs losing this because of how bad the Patriots have been this year. But I am kind of tempted at taking New England to cover because it is the biggest spread of this window. At 9.5 points is huge. I'm not. Yeah, give me the Chiefs, but especially if Isaiah Pacheco likely to be out again as well, I'm not confident by it.
I don't think any games on this 6 p.m. tonight I'm totally confident about, but apart from the Carolina one. But has anyone checked on Mahomes? Mahomes calmed down a bit because they're going to need him for this one. I mean, Bill Belichick, as you said, is going to part ways. I think he's going to part ways, and so is Robert Kraft, and they will be looking for like one more little gem on their career resume. But he has nothing to do it with. He has no talent. I'm not going to lie. His defense has been good. But the offense just continues on as fire. And Kansas City, I mean, they lost on Sunday in what was a hilarious matchup. And that cycle was very funny, even though Kelsey's brilliant. But I wouldn't take the spread. I would say well clear of the spread. I would take Kansas City. I think this is one of them where they just turn up, they win, they get out of there, they carry on with their season in their playoff hunt, which they will get. It's a tough one. I think New England could just spin some prime Bill Belichick stuff and turn over and roll over, but I don't know. I'm taking Kansas City. I think it's a safer pick here, so I'm going to take them.
Okay. And then we'll go over to the NFC now, where the Giants head into New Orleans. And then suddenly, after wins of both teams last week, this game is massive in the NFC playoff picture. The Saints are half a game back on the Bucs and the Falcons right now after losing their first catch of both of them. So they need to stay in touch with both of them and the wildcard spots by winning this game. But the Giants are out of nowhere, a game back at themselves to the playoffs after winning the last 3 games with good defense and QB play from Tommy DeVito. I think the Saints are probably too talented for me not to pick them, although that may come back to bite me as it has a lot this season, especially their injuries and offense. We just don't know who they are. They're up and down every single week. But I'm sticking with it. My favourite bet of the week, though, would be the Giants to cover the spread here because I think they're a good match and they look pretty good. And 6.5 for a 6 and 7 team at home against a 5 and 8 team, it's quite a big spread. So I think the Giants will cover it, but I just think the Saints will win.
It's Tommy DeVito's world, and we're just living in it. The bloke's been on fire 3 straight, hasn't thrown a pick. I mean, he is. I don't know how he's doing it. He's proper though. This Saints team, I feel so bad for Saints fans this year because it has been such an up and down ride. It has been such a roller coaster a year, and they just can't seem to find a consistent running form. And I want to take the Giants in a big spot. And it's just because I want to see Tommy DeVito do well. I think he's one of the greatest storylines of this year. I mean, going into this year, it's just crazy. Especially his agent and dad on the sideline doing their antics. It's great to see.
We've seen that his agent's been inducted into the Italian American Sports Hall of Fame this week.
What, just because of the outfit?
Yeah.
That's brilliant. No, in all seriousness, though, this Giants team have had a bit of a turnaround in the last couple of weeks, and they have looked like they could get a couple more wins for the end of the year. And Saints are a weird team with ups and downs, and if Saints don't turn up like they haven't done many times this year, I think Giants will go and beat them. And I think that is what's going to happen this Sunday in the 6 p.m. slate. And it's a 6.5 spread. I back them to cover the spread, obviously, because I back them to win. I'm going to back the underdog. I'm going to say Giants.
And there we are. And then we'll finish the 6 p.m. window with an all AFC South game that has swung quite significantly in the last few days. The Titans are now favoured to win their first AFC South game of the season after their Monday night win over the Dolphins and because of the uncertainty surrounding Houston quarterback CJ Stroud. Stroud is in the concussion protocol, and after a big hit in the loss to the Jets, we won't know whether he clears it or not until Saturday, but the fact he hasn't practiced this week doesn't seem very convincing at all. Nico Collins and Will Anderson haven't practiced either, so it's not looking great for any of the young stars really. And if Stroud can't go, then Davis Mills will start in his place. He's a serviceable QB, but with the injuries on offense, I just don't think I can pick the Texans right now. So no Tank Dell, obviously. If there's no Nico Collins, no Will Anderson on defense, obviously no CJ Stroud, then I'm going to go for the Titans to win in their Oilers uniform against the Houston Texans, which I think will be brilliant. I can't believe they're wearing them against Houston as well, obviously, because they've got that beef over whose uniforms they really belong to. But yeah, the Titans will be wearing them and they're going to win against Houston in them.
Is it great from Tennessee to wear their uniforms against Houston? It is unbelievable. But I mean, Tennessee sit at 7-6, and Will Levis has kind of taken the season and made it his own sort of.
They're not 7-6. That's my mistake. The Texans 7-6.
Was it not?
No, they're 5-8.
So yeah. My bad.
Sorry,
I
my bad.
I was about to say, how are they 7-6?
Yeah.
Never mind. No, they are 5-8, and they're not looking bad. Will Levis has looked okay in his certain spots. But as you said, with these Houston potential injuries, that's their core four out. There's their star players of this season. And on offense, without them three huge players in Nico Collins, Tank Dell, and CJ Stroud, I don't think they get anything going. And that's why I'm pretty safe in taking Tennessee to win this game. And it's a slim spread, which represents how close it actually is. But yeah, I'm going to take Tennessee. I think they get it done in the Oilers uniform. I don't think it's a pretty win, but I think it's a win nonetheless.
Right, okay. And we'll move over to the 9 p.m. slate then, and then one of the games of the year, the Dallas Cowboys heading into Buffalo, the 10-3 Cowboys against the 7-6 Buffalo Bills. And this is the first of two featured games on Sunday, where the now NFC East leaders, the Cowboys, and number 2 seed as well, go into Buffalo to face off against the Bills, who have come alive in the AFC playoff race after winning at Arrowhead last week. In my opinion, Dallas are the best team in football. They're slightly better than San Francisco, and I feel like their QB has been a difference maker, unlike Brock Purdy. And, I think Dallas are more talented than every team in the AFC, certainly, for me. So they're the second best team in the league, if not the first best team in the league, as I said. I don't know about you, Owen, but it's starting to look like they've got an excellent chance at a Super Bowl.
It's weird, and I don't like it. I agree, they have been the best team in football this year, and they have been unbelievable. But the next 3 games for them are Bills, Dolphins, Eagles, and that is a heavy slate. And this suddenly becomes a must-win for Dallas in terms of get your head in. Well, they're pretty much already in the playoffs, but if they win, it's like, yes, you've got playoffs, you've got 11 wins, you're fine. But they need to win this one. I think they have Dak playing at an MVP level, and CD's looking unbelievable so far this year. And likely the Bills have Mike Hyde and AJ Epinesa out. It's a huge game for both teams, and it's going to be a mix and match. It's going to be a punch for punch. It's going to be a brawl, but Dallas are too strong. Dallas look unbelievable. They look phenomenal. And I don't want to say it, but I back Dallas, and I think they really do have a good Super Bowl chance. Yeah,
having the one seed will certainly help with that as well. But they probably have to rely on the Niners to lose the game, probably to Baltimore next week, to do that. So the Bills obviously win their remaining 4 games and they're in the playoffs. It's as simple as that. But as you said, this won't be difficult without AJ Epinesa and Micah Hyde. Since Ken Dorsey was fired on offense, Joe Brady has stepped up and they've been pretty good. They were unlucky not to beat Philly, but they did beat Kansas City last week, and they should have beaten Dallas. They should beat Dallas this week. And should they beat Dallas this week, they are sending a message to not only Miami, but who haven't wrapped up the AFC East quite yet, but also the whole AFC. They're still here, win this game, and the whole AFC should be on alert, shouldn't it, Owen?
Completely. I mean, it's so hard to pick because they should be on high alert, but they have looked very good. They have looked very good. And ever since, as you said, the change at OC, this Bills offense have been balling out, and they have their key players playing well. And I think Dallas is sort of due an off game. They've looked really good, and as we saw from Kansas City last week, and we've seen from Eagles so far this season, every team has an off game. So you look at this one and you're thinking, I mean, are you looking at how Bills have been at the moment, and you're looking at Dallas and how they've been at the moment, and you're like, it just takes one mistake sort of thing to completely flip the script on its head. And I'm going to take, I said I'm going to take Dallas, but I'm not properly convinced about this one, eh?
Yeah, as you said, I'm pretty torn too as to who we picked for this game. The Cowboys haven't got a statement win away from home yet. Obviously, before last week, they were like, who have you beat? They beat the Eagles in Dallas, but they're a different team away from Jerry World. So it's going to be huge for them, as you said, these next 2 games against 2 of the teams that have the greatest home field advantages in the entire NFL. Obviously Buffalo, Bills Mafia, freezing cold. That's a huge home field advantage. And then you've got in Miami where you've got the sun coming down on you in the sideline, and obviously you've got the heat as well. It's that's quite a difficult stadium to play in. So that's two really tough environments for Buffalo. So I feel like we're really going to learn loads about the Cowboys, and if they do well in both those games, if they hang in there, let alone win those games tonight, again, I think they're got a perfect chance of getting to the Super Bowl. I think they're one of the best teams in the NFL, if not the best team in the NFL right now. And it's why I'm going to pick them to do it. I think it's why I'm going to pick them to beat the Bills here. Going against the bookmakers who have got Buffalo as their favourite. Give me the Cowboys to win this game, and give me Dak Prescott to have another great game and solidify MVP if Tyreek Hill does not get 2,000 yards in this one. Mm-hmm. Right, let's go over to the NFC West now, where we've got the Niners going into Arizona. They are now in possession of the 1 seed after they've beaten the Cowboys and the Eagles. So they get the advantage over the other two 10-3 teams. The Cardinals beat Pittsburgh before their bye, which is a great performance from Kyler Murray. If there's another one of those against this defense, then it would be huge for his situation next year. I was tempted by the Cardinals to cover this one because it's a huge spread, but they're quite injured at the skill positions, which won't help Kyler Murray. So I was going to pick the Niners anyway. I think they're so good, and I doubt I'll pick against them the rest of this year at all. I think I'll probably pick them against Baltimore next week. For me, give me the Niners to win this one, but I think it'll be a little bit closer than the spread says.
So a 13.5 spread is crazy, and it does represent how good San Francisco have been this year. But it's Arizona coming off a bye, and I know they're very injured at certain skill positions, but San Francisco they've looked good in big spots, but they've also let up some points on defense to some teams where you wouldn't expect them to let up points to. And I mean, the Cardinals they're sitting at 3-10, so it feels a bit silly to say, but they have been kind of one of the shock teams this season in terms of how well they've played. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're 3-10 doesn't represent
them and the Rams. We thought they'd both be horrific, and both of them have looked very well coached and look like they can have good futures.
I mean, it's a big divisional matchup because if Arizona somehow gets something done, maybe the Seahawks have a chance. I don't think so, but maybe. Probably wishful thinking from me, but I don't think so. I'm going to stay clear of the spread because, God, that's a huge spread. But I'm going to take San Francisco to get it done, and I think it will be over before the halftime whistle goes.
Okay. Right. We'll go over to LA, stay in the NFC West. We'll go over to the Rams now, who welcome the Commanders, who are also off their bye, as the Cardinals were, but they've lost 4 straight going into that bye, and they're heading into an informed Rams team that was so close to their 4th straight win last week, losing in overtime to the AFC 1 seed Baltimore Ravens. The Rams, for me, are way better coached, so I'm going to go for them, simple as, give me Sean McVay over Ron Rivera any day, but for me, this has a close shootout written all over it. I like watching both offenses. I really like what I see from Sam Howell, especially. They've got something there, but I just love the Rams, especially over 6.5 points here. I love it. I don't trust the Washington defense at all, and for their offense, it doesn't sound positive that Brian Robinson plays either. So give me the Rams, but I think this is going to be a high scoring game just because both of these teams have played a lot of shootouts this year. But yeah, give me the Rams.
I agree. I mean, it's going to be a high scoring affair, but I think Aaron Donald's Christmas might have come early against this Washington O-line. Just give Sam Howell's looked great. He's looked promising. Just give him an O-line, please. I actually want to see what he's capable of. This, as you said, it comes down to coaching as well, which Sean McVay's clear in most categories in my eyes. But I would take the spread on the Rams. I don't think it'll be as close. I think it'll be high scoring, but I think they'll win by over 1 score, which is a 6.5 spread. So yeah. But I'm going to take the Rams. I think they're just too talented on certain skill positions, especially if Brian Robinson is set to miss this one. I think that is a huge miss, and I think the Rams get it done.
Awesome. Right, we'll finish. Oh, also, I've fingers crossed Sam Howell doesn't get killed by Aaron Donald, by the way, because there is a chance that might happen. Okay, we'll finish off the podcast by diving into the 2 primetime games. We're going to talk in depth about these, and they involve teams that are in and around the playoff mix. So they're mental. We'll start, and really, really important, we'll start with something like football, where the 1 seed Ravens go into the 4 seed Jacksonville Jaguars, who've just lost their 2nd straight game. Now, Jacksonville probably expected that when Trevor Lawrence got hurt, but they will be disappointed by the way they lost to Cleveland last week after the remarkable return to the lineup from Trevor Lawrence. After the Dolphins lost to Tennessee, Baltimore are now in control of their destiny for that bye week and home field advantage throughout the playoffs. But their next 4 games coming against teams with winning records, and their next 3 opponents, the Jags, the Niners, and the Dolphins, have a combined 28 wins between the 3 of them. So I think it's safe to say we're about to find out who the Ravens are, aren't we, Owen? Because they've had a pretty easy schedule up to now. Now they've got 3 of the best teams in the league back to back to back.
Completely. I mean, these number 1 seed Ravens have looked decent. They look good, especially on offense. But there is an asterisk because they haven't really played anyone with proper high pedigree so far this year. I do think come playoff time we don't see them at number 1 seed because I think their schedule going into the next 3 games is very harsh. But the Jags are now scrambling after them 2 losses to Bengals and the Browns. I mean, they were, yes, the Bengals one you could write up to Trevor Lawrence being out, and even with the Browns one, you could say he made it back miraculously, but there's no way he's fully fit in that spot. There is no way. So you could scratch them up to that. But if they do go with Trevor Lawrence again, is he going to be fit? Is he going to be fully fit? It's still very soon from that injury that he picked up. I think Jacksonville get it done in this one. I think Baltimore will get it done in this one. I think they continue rolling. I think the hype continues to build around this Baltimore offense and defense alike. But if you just look at the next 2 games after this one, I think it might be a harsh reality for the Ravens.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because I think I'm a bigger fan of Jacksonville than many are. I think their defense, obviously, it leads the league in takeaways, so that would be a huge factor in this game. And I like their offense. I think on their day they can beat anyone, but I'm not so sure their offensive line can hold up against a team that literally leads the league in sacks in the Ravens. Sacks per game, sorry. But obviously sacks too. But yeah, they don't have an outstanding pass rusher, but they've just got people who they just combine for sacks as a team. Just to mix people in there, and like Buffalo have for the last couple of years, and they can really put pressure on a quarterback, which with Trevor Lawrence's ankle isn't great at all. So I'm going to pick Baltimore to win, but I would probably take the Jags to cover. Or maybe be tempted to do that as the weekend goes on, because I'm not very confident in this one because I love the Jags. But yeah, the Ravens just a little bit more healthier. And that defensive line against that offensive line, really, that's what swings it for me. So yeah, give me the Ravens to beat the Jags here. And then we'll finish off the podcast by breaking down the Monday Night Football game between the Eagles and the Seahawks. And this one is super fun because both teams really need a win here, if we're being honest. The Eagles are now the 5 seed after losing 2 straight to the now top seeds in the NFC, obviously Dallas and San Francisco. Win this and Dallas lose to Buffalo and they reclaim the lead of the NFC East. But lose this obviously and Dallas win, then obviously they're a game behind the Cowboys and they're going to get the 5 seed. Seattle have lost 4 straight for the first time since Pete Carroll and John Schneider took over in 2010. And they're in a weird spot because it sounds like the locker room is probably split a little bit. But they have faced the 3 best teams in the league in each of their last 4 games. So, Owen, with Seattle, quickly, obviously it's huge, but they're in a weird spot because they're kind of expected to lose these games, weren't they?
Oh, completely. It's been a horrific little bracket, little slate for the past 4 weeks. I mean, you look at played the Niners twice and the Cowboys once, and now you head into Philly on a Monday night big spot, and it's the best time to play Philly. It looks like after their defense is leaking points, and it's apparent that they've got problems on defense, but it's still the Philadelphia Eagles, and they still have this star-studded offense, which I think will have a field day against this what seems like a non-leadership apparent Seattle defense where they leave men wide open in the midfield, and it's a mess. It's
weird against Niners, wasn't it? It was weird because obviously there are some busted coverage plays, but they kept it close. They did force a couple of turnovers. They did keep it close, but yeah, I think obviously the Niners were just too good last week, but. Yeah, that's the thing. They're sort of stuck, and against the odds win from them here would probably stand them in good stead for a wildcard place because they've got a really favourable schedule coming up after this game. And while a loss, obviously a loss will put them at 6-8. But our team will make the playoffs at 9 and 8. I think maybe even 8 and 9. If we're being honest, the way it's going now in the NFC. So lose this game. It's not over, but if, as you said, it's probably the best time to play Philly right now, isn't it? Because they probably want to get out to a good start because they've been blown away the last 2 games right out the gates and just not recovered. They're determined to prove everyone wrong that they're not just a team that doesn't start slow and just picks up in the second half. They probably want to start off strong. So that's why the first quarter of this game is going to be really interesting to watch because both teams really, if they start off strong, they'll probably win a game. Obviously, if Seattle get running the football, there's that crazy stat that if Kenneth Walker plays and Seattle only has 16 carries, Seattle normally win the game. I think it's it's something like I think they've lost 3 times or 3 or 4 times which is just mental. So both teams are trying to dominate the ground game early on, and it's just fascinating for me to see who's going to win it. And then you got obviously the interesting matchup between the Seattle offense and the Eagles defense, where as you said, the Eagles defense has surrendered a lot of points this year, so it has a shootout vibe to me. And obviously the Seattle offense has a lot of talent all year at skill positions. They've been up and down like last year because they've had a lot of injuries there as well, which has been unfortunate. Obviously they've put up a lot of points this year, but it's been up and down. So we don't really know what Seattle offenses are going to turn up. It does sound like Geno Smith will start, but honestly, I don't know about you, mate. I don't think there'll be much difference if he doesn't start, because Drew Lock actually impressed me.
I mean, last week Drew Lock surprised, I think, all of us. I don't think he was the problem in that loss. He didn't look good, but he didn't look bad either. He took it as you would expect him to take it. And this has been the year where we've seen either backup quarterbacks float or sink, and I think he's one of them that floated, especially in that game. He's a bit worrying for Seattle because you look at that loss to the Niners, you go, oh, we had a backup quarterback, but not really. He weren't really at fault for that loss. I think we lost the game at other places in other positions wise. KJ Wright has come out in the week. I don't know if you've seen him talk about the leadership within the squad and talk about how it lacks leaders, and they look at Quandre Diggs and Geno Smith as leaders, but there's more internal battles and battles focusing on their next opponents. That's true, and Pete Carroll's lost the locker room a bit. Something's got to give.
Well, that fight last week was interesting. Obviously, DK, it's not the first fight that DK's had this year either, is it? Not by a long stretch. He has talked midweek about how him and AJ Brown's going to be the juggernaut matchup and stuff like that. I mean, they're mates. Obviously, I get that. Yeah, college reunion. Both played at Ole Miss together. Yeah.
So they're good friends. I mean, if Seattle get this done, because they have come out of the gates, they do start well. They've come out of the gates. We saw against the Niners that big bomb pass to DK Metcalf when he picked up all the speed and ran to the end zone. They can start fast, and I think if they do start fast and get 10 unanswered points on the board, even that I think will do. And I think you can probably carry out a win out against this Eagles side with the 10 unanswered points to start the game. If they can do that, I think they could go on to win. And I'm going to choose violence. I think that might happen. Genuinely. I think Seattle start games well, and I think Philly don't start games well at all. And we've seen, as you said in the past couple of weeks, about how that can affect them in the long run during the game. So I'm going to take Seattle. I'm not sure why. Probably personal bias, but I'm going to take Seattle.
No, do you know what, mate? I get it. I was tempted. I'm going to pick the Eagles in this one. But, as you're saying, I think it will be closer than people will imagine it will be. And I just get I get a similar vibe to the Dallas game. Obviously also at Lumen Field as well a few weeks ago, where it's just shootout. And I feel like you can get a game done against Philly when obviously Dallas, I think, were a little bit too strong in the end in that game. So yeah, give me the Eagles to win this one anyway, but I think it'll be really, really close. And honestly, I flip of a coin when it comes to Monday night. I'm not confident by my prediction at all. I'll be honest.
It's gonna be one of them that you set out for. I think.
Oh yeah.
You know how it normally is for us UK fans. You think I'll watch half time, and if it's boring, I'll go to sleep, sort of thing. But I think a lot of people will be struggling to get to work on a Tuesday after this one.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining me. Obviously, I only sort of asked you about a couple hours ago, mate. So thank you for stepping in last minute and coming onto the podcast. It's been great. So you're welcome on any time again. I'll probably have you on before the end of the regular season anyway.
Perfect. Cheers, mate. I mean, it's great to be on. So it was a bit of a shock, but yeah, love it.
Awesome, and that's it for our Week 15 recap. It's obviously it's been a bit of a speedy one, just because we've got every single team in the league to talk about today. So it's just been a quick fire podcast. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. This has been our Week 15 preview. I will see you for the Week 15 recap on Tuesday morning after this big Monday Night Football game between the Eagles and the Seahawks. And who knows? Maybe Seattle will get it done, and maybe they do really, maybe they send the Dallas Cowboys and the Niners really send them to closer to their closer to a. Well, that might be a very tasty NFC Championship game. Imagine that Niners Cowboys. That is just history right there.
It's
so
huge.
That's what I was just trying to say. That just screams to me 90s football. And I'm here for it. I'm sorry for any fans, but I'm here for a Dallas San Francisco Super Bowl. Not Super Bowl, but NFC Championship game. And for me as well, that would be mental because the Niners just blew away the Cowboys earlier in the season, so maybe it's a different result, maybe it's not. Anyway, let's stop fantasizing. Let's finish the podcast. As I said, Owen, thank you for joining me on this podcast. It's been the Full 10 Yards NFL podcast, and I will see you for the Week 15 recap.